And a very good evening to everyone listening on 160 metres, 2 metres, and the streaming service to these test transmissions. A regular Friday night occurrence here from the studios of VK3SL. Yes, we're just testing, of course, and there's no entertainment intended. It's about modulated sound and making sense of a whole range of historic recordings which bestow themselves upon this wannabe broadcaster. But yes, we will start with something nostalgic. In fact, it's all nostalgic. And to get the ball rolling, we will hear something from Britain in the late 1920s, about 1928, 29, and we hear the Rhythmic 8 and a recording of Avalon Town. This is VK3SL, testing on 160 metres, 2 metres, and the broadwave stream.
Think of an old Spanish tune. You're in Avalon Town, closing your eyes for a while. Picture a tropical isle, studded with flowers that smile. You're in Avalon Town. Romance lingers through every hour. Romance beckons with all her power to you. Think about old Captain Kidd. Think of the chest that he hid. Dream that you've opened the lid. You're in Avalon Town.
And we heard the Rhythmic 8 recorded in the late 1920s and a tune called Avalon Town. That's on a Zonophonium, and I think that record's been sitting on the turntable since last week. Never the mind. In fact, there's an interesting anecdote about that. It features, to my best knowledge, the trumpet player Max Goldberg, and we did a special on Max Goldberg, included in 2 interviews with him. He actually retired to Melbourne and played with the Channel 9 band, and also taught in some schools in Melbourne, I believe. That was in the late 50s. He retired to Melbourne, and I think he died in 1990. But thankfully there are a couple of interviews, and Chris interviewed him as well, so there's a reasonable attempt to chronicle some of his activities. He was probably the most prolifically recorded trumpet player in the 20s, particularly in British dance bands. He freelanced with just about every single orchestra that was recording, and the legend is that he made between 5,000 and 10,000 records in that decade, between the mid-20s and late 30s. And so a remarkable career. So in having sort of looked at his output a little bit, and we've been following it on these test transmissions, I thought it'd be interesting to hear an example. This is a recording, another example. This is with Ray Noble and his orchestra, and it features Mr. Goldberg in very prominently in this recording. In fact, they mention him by name, and you'll hear him being sort of spoken to when he returns with a musical anecdote. It's quite fascinating, and it's a beautiful recording. And this is one of Prozoot's offerings. This is one of the latest ones. It's Ray Noble and his orchestra, and the vocalist of Sal Boldy. And yeah, we'll hear Sunny Days. So yes, and listen for Mr. Goldberg. They call him Max Goldie, and you'll hear some really great trumpet breaks. He's in full flight on this recording. This is VK3SL.
Hey! Hey! Shout for happiness, there's no joy unless you shout for happiness all day through. Oh, sing, sing, let your voices ring, bid your troubles adieu. Take the joy that is meant for you. Don't sit in a corner like Jackie Horner, get where the bright lights are. Just look up high, search the sky, find your lucky star. Shout, shout, shout for happiness, there's no joy if you're blue. Shout for happiness all day through. Well, who do I see right in front of me but Max Goldie in the flesh? Hey gosh, but you're looking well and full of spirits too. No, I didn't say whiskey. Come on, Max, tell me, what makes you feel for happiness, huh? Been to see the cup final? Oh, I can see it right in your eye. You're just dying for a drink, huh? Well, come on, let's go.
Yeah, and that was a shout for happiness, actually, not Sunny Days. And yeah, we heard Al Boldy with Ray Noble and his orchestra, featuring very prominently Max Goldberg, who has a strong Australian connection. So it's great to sort of recognise his amazing contribution to popular music, particularly in Britain. He went to America as well, but ended up playing in the Channel 9 band. Now, he was famed for using a large number of mutes, and you could hear his muted solo was very characterful and expertly executed. He must have been held in the highest esteem as a session player and as a soloist. Really, it was remarkable. Would have loved to ask him about the Bix influence. But yeah, look, this is the latest upload by Mr. Prozoot, and we follow these very closely because they're quite revelationary in the quality of the transfers. And by all accounts, these are English frying pan HMVs, so he's done very well to diminish the roughness of the bisque record, and nothing like the laminated pressings we have on Columbia and OKs and others. These are pretty rough, but nevertheless, he's been able to work his miracles with them. And there's a few others here. We might have a listen to another one. I think the next on the playlist for this particular set is Harmony Heaven. So we'll give it a go, and if it's not, I'll back announce it. But these are all recordings by Ray Noble and his orchestra, featuring Al Bowley as the vocalist. Fantastic ensemble is Ray Noble's orchestra. Just amazing. It's great to hear musicianship of this order. This is VK3SL testing. Okay, I'll need to make a correction on that one. The vocalist was actually W. Vernon on that recording. It wasn't Al Bowley. Now, on this list there's quite a playlist here of Al Bowley recordings which have been put up in one file. And amongst them is I Got a Date with an Angel with Al Bowley. Now, see if I can find it, because that is a beautiful recording. Let's see if it's there. Here we go. We'll see if we can skip forward and we'll have a listen to I Got a Date with an Angel with Ray Noble and Al Bowley. Have a listen. See what you think.
Hello.
That's St. Peter.
What the devil do you want?
I got a date with an angel.
Come righty.
Come on, gang, flap your wings. Got a date with an angel. Got to meet her at 7. Got a date with an angel, and I'm on my way to heaven. No one else could be sweeter. Looks divine when I meet her. Feel as proud as St. Peter, and I'm on my way to heaven. Soon I'll hear the bells ring out, and the choir will sing out. When the pearly gates swing out, she'll beckon to me. I've been waiting a lifetime for this evening at 7. Got a date with an angel, and I'm on my way to heaven.
Yeah, that was the Ray Noble Orchestra from 1931 or 32. I've Got a Date with an Angel, a selection of recordings with Ray Noble and with Al Bowley on some of them, and Max Goldberg on all of them playing trumpet. So we're sort of recognising him, and it's there's a lot more on this list. We'll have to delve more another time. I think we'll have to keep this theme running because I'm impressed. I think they sound fantastic. So yeah, this is VK3SL. I'm testing on 160 metres and 2 metres and streaming on live on the Broadwave streaming service, which can be found on my QRZ page. Just look me up. And I think anyone could look that up. QRZ.com. Look up my call sign, VK3SL, and you'll find a link to my blog page, I suppose you could say. And there are the details of the streaming service. That's the way it works, folks. Now, we also have another mainstay on these test transmissions, and that's the music of Mr. Bix Beiderbecke. I've been following Bix's music since I was probably about 12 or 13, and I've always loved his, I've been fascinated by his craft. Superlative musician, and it's exciting to see people uploading Bix recordings in extended fidelity. Now, another one's come up this week. And this is from Atticus Jazz. It's another YouTube record collector who doesn't over-process. And they're the people I look out for. Over-processing, it destroys the recordings and compromises the full frequency range, really. But anyhow, this is quite a impressive transfer of one of the probably Bix's most famous records. He made for Okaya back in 1927. And it's with Frankie Trumbar and his orchestra. It's a reduced group. It's a very small ensemble, and there's not a huge number of Bix recordings with small ensembles. Most of these output are with the Whiteman Orchestra, the Gene Goldkit Orchestra, and ensembles directly associated with them. In fact, this group is associated with the Whiteman auspice as well. But I bet this happens to be a smaller group. So... and it features a very extensive Bix solo. He's playing around the lead the whole way. It's pretty close to the trad jazz idiom, I suppose you'd say. And so yeah, we'll have a listen to Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. Frankie Trumbar and his orchestra. It features a beautiful C melody sax solos by Tram, and then a 28-bar Bix solo, which just takes your breath away. It is amazing. So, whoops, we'll just have to turn off the last track because that keeps on going. So I'll let that one stop, and then we'll cue this one up, and we'll see what happens. So this is VK3SL testing with the music of Mr. Bix Beiderbecke from 1927. Yeah, that was Way Down Yonder in New Orleans, featuring Frankie Trumbauer and his orchestra, and soloing by Tram himself, and also Bix Beiderbecke, who features extensively. Nice 28-bar solo there by Mr. Bix, and it's they're fascinating to listen to. And I often ponder what makes a great soloist, and I think it is the way that artists play with the listener's expectations. There's so much variety and intrigue, and you really just don't know what he's going to do next. And the very fact that in some ways his technique is, well, I won't say approximate, but it's home brew, means that he's able to sort of get phrasing effects that nobody else could do. So you sort of sit on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen. And of course, there's the element of risk taking as well. And you hear that all the time in Bix. There's this constant sort of searching for something, and it just makes every solo interesting and sinuous, and sort of takes you places, or takes me places. So yes, I do like the Bix solos because they capture the imagination. Alrighty. I was looking at the playlist of that, and a lot of the musicians on that recording sadly didn't make it past their 20s. Bix didn't. He died at 28. Don Murray, the clarinetist. Now, he would have been just as great as Benny Goodman, but he fell off. He was probably inebriated, hit his head on a curb, and died of knocked him out, and he died. Bill Rank lived to a good age. He was the trombonist, and Doc Riker lived to a good age. He was alto sax. Eddie Lang, another artist on that recording, guitarist, he died having his tonsils out in 1931, so he was again in his 20s. So about half of that band didn't live past their 20s. Pretty tragic, really. But anyhow, that's the way it goes, I suppose. But anyhow, we'll keep the Bix flowing. There's plenty more where that came from, everyone. So, yes, good music. Now, we heard Frankie Trumbauer playing C melody sax on that last recording. Now, I'm very pleased to hear regular uploads from Vintage Sounds. That's John Hanna's uploads from Sydney. He's a collector who I've had quite a bit to do with, and I have great respect for. And he caught up with him a few weeks ago here. And he's the sort of person I could talk to for days on end without a break, because he's got so many interesting perspectives, and his knowledge base is just so extensive. Anyhow, I'm really thrilled that he's taken measure to put some of his rarer recordings up on YouTube, and it's been happening with aplomb. He's been putting lots of things up, and this one here is a very unusual record of a saxophone player called Rudy Wiedoft, and I think he's from Danish origin. I don't know. He was born in America. Anyhow, Rudolf Cornelius Wiedoft. He was born in 1893 and died in 1940. But he was one of the pioneers of the saxophone, and he played in some of those early dance bands, sort of the pre-syncopated era. And he was a fairly straight sort of player, really. But he was a virtuoso on the saxophone, and he embraced the instrument in the early 1900s or in the early 1910s, that period, and continued to play right up to his death, and he was known as a virtuoso player. And he wrote a huge amount of music for it. But the interesting thing is he also played the C melody sax. Now, we just heard Frankie Trumbauer playing the C melody sax. Wiedoft plays the C melody as well. It's a saxophone that's almost complete, or it's almost extinct, really. I think the Chinese are making them again. I often thought if I ever played saxophone, I'd like to play the C melody sax. I love the sound of it. Something between an alto and a soprano, I think. It's a smaller instrument. Anyhow, here we have a recording of his from 1925. I think it's electric. I can't recall. But, we'll listen to his virtuoso playing. It is quite extraordinary what he's able to achieve. And see what you think of this. Amazing stuff from Vintage Sounds, VK3SL testing. Whoa, such assurance. It's amazing to hear virtuosic playing of that order. That's a piece called Saxarella, written by and performed by Rudy Videft. Vidoft? I don't know. Anyhow, it's had 4 views now. It had 3 views before. So, yes, I commend the uploads of Vintage Sounds. They are really interesting recordings, and that one's no exception. And what else? Oh, yeah. Next one is we continue our homage to the Boswell sisters. They made heaps of records. They recorded prolifically in the early 30s. It's hard to find copies which haven't been over-processed, unfortunately. This one has a bit, but it's still very listenable. It's just got a slightly constricted range. But look, how about this is a wonderful, wonderful performance. They're on fire, the 3 Boswell sisters, and the control and the sense of the soul in their singing is what makes it really. And so see what you think. I love it. This is Shout, Sister Shout, and I'm VK3SL testing, of course.
If you want your soul set free, lift your voice and sing with me. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum. Oh, if the devil grabs your hand, here's one thing that he can't stand. Ba-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum. Walking down to the river, singing a hallelujah song. Oh Lord, up jumps the devil before you. Just keep sliding along. Tell old Satan how you feel. Get the devil off your heels. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum. Keep your spirit way up high. Look up to the sky. Stand up and shout hallelujah. Shout, come on down just a little bit, Joe. Oh, shout, sister, fall along, fall along, fall along, fall along. Just tell old Satan how you feel. Get that old devil right off your heel. Shout, sister, shout, sister, shout. Oh Lord, shout, oh Lord.
Yeah, the Boswell sisters from 1931. We heard Shout, Sister, Shout. one of the many recordings they made at that time, and I think that features Eddie Lang on the guitar and Joe Venuti on the violin on that recording. Here we go. Here's a list there of the performers. Yes, Tommy Dorsey on trombone, Jimmy Dorsey on clarinet, Joe Venuti, Arthur Shute on piano, Eddie Lang and guitar, and Joe Tarto on string bass, Chauncey Morehouse on drums, and Victor Young was directing the group. Very much a similar ensemble to the those working with Whiteman at that time. Anyhow, that's something special. I think those recordings that they made are of exceptional interest. They are such remarkable musicians. I'd just love to know what they sounded like in hi-fi. There are quite a few recordings of Connie Boswell right up into the 1950s, and she still had a really excellent vocal command. And I think we've actually played some on these tests, haven't we? Yes, I think so. Anyhow, that's something I might do again. So always looking for different perspectives on great artists, and sort of particularly interesting to chronicle performers at the bookends of their careers too. Anyhow, well, I think it's probably OTR time. I've got something lined up. Now, I'm just not 100% sure if I've played this before. I did contact one of our regular correspondents and made this inquiry, and but it's I think perhaps not. But if I have, I apologise. But it is a fascinating little snapshot into Middle Australia in the 1940s, early 50s, and it's sort of you really get a sense of what the domestic, just the whole, the way that people operated, the family dynamic, the dynamic between husbands and wives. The program's called Raising a Husband. It's from 3XY. This is episode 41. I suppose it's not that dissimilar to some of those early Aspro shows that were playing when I first started doing these test transmissions. This is in similar vogue. So, yeah, have a listen to Raising a Husband. It's absolutely hilarious, and it is just extraordinary how just the staid ways and the well, by today's standards, that and what the priorities were, what their just the marital and domestic situation entailed. Anyhow, I think it'll speak for itself. But see what you think. VK3SL. I'm testing on. I can do a manual gong today. I can bring up the gongs. I've got gongs on the ident thing, but I can just do them right here. Well, I can hear some distortion. Oh, that's interesting. Wonder if everything's going as it should. Oh, something's taking off. I wonder. Oh, I hope everyone can hear this okay. Maybe it's just in the mod monitor or something, RF getting into the lead. Anyhow, we'll do another gong. You certainly hear it. NBC Gong leading you into Raising a Husband.
This is Radio 3XY Melbourne. Again, we have pleasure in bringing you Alwyn Kurtz presenting that very human presentation, Raising a Husband.
Good evening, everyone. They say that marriage is like a prize fight. The preliminaries are generally better than the main bout. Well, I don't believe that's quite true, for there are many, many happily married couples. We have at least 4 of them in our studio tonight, and we're going to find out just what makes the ideal husband, the human husband. I think that most of you have listened to this program before, so I won't explain all the details. In any case, it's quite simple. You'll pick it up as we go along. First of all, we ask the 4 wives who are going to take part in this quiz to follow Mr. Tom Miller, who is standing in the studio doorway, into the soundproof room. Thank you, ladies. The 4 wives, will you follow Mr. Miller? Now, the ladies will be locked in that soundproof room and will not be able to hear the answers that their husbands give to the questions we put to them. Of course, the wives will get an opportunity of airing their views later on. Now for the 4 husbands. Gentlemen, will you kindly come up onto our studio stage? Right. That completes the preliminaries, and so we start quizzing our first husband. And our first husband tonight is... Thank you, sir. Come up. The other three husbands are trailing behind. Come up, gentlemen, right up on stage. Your name, sir?
Mr. Harrison.
Right forward, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison from Adelaide. How long have you been married, Mr. Harrison? He's got to think about this.
29 years.
29 years, eh? You always lived in Adelaide?
Yes, always in Adelaide.
Must be a very good climate there.
Good.
Any children, Mr. Harrison?
One.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Mr. Harrison, when your wife wants to go to sleep, do you ever embark on a long conversation with her?
No, I let her go.
What do you mean you let her go?
Let her go to sleep.
Oh, I see. And you still keep talking?
No, I try to go to sleep myself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about having long conversations.
No.
Did you when you were first married?
Oh, no.
No. Mr. Harrison, if you purchase anything for your wife in the way of food, do you insist that you be repaid by your wife out of the housekeeping money, or do you sort of usually shout that and let it go?
Oh, I take it out the housekeeper money.
You take it out or you ask for
Well,
it?
I ask for it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
No messing about?
No, no messing about with
No.
that.
Of course, you've been married 29 years. You
Too right.
Very practical. And are you of the opinion that a man changes in his habits after he marries?
Oh, I think he changes a bit, settles down more.
Settles down.
Yeah.
You were a bit of a gay spark, were you, Mr. Harris?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not
Well, how do you mean settles down more?
Well, I didn't go around so much after I got married.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. We're over here.
Beg pardon?
I said we're over in Melbourne.
Yes, it's taken 29 years.
No, it isn't. I've been here before.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
On your own?
No, not on my own.
So I mean. Well, never mind, Mr. Harrison. Supposing you've just had a bath.
Yeah.
You've rubbed yourself dry, and you're ready to rush into the bedroom, get dressed, have breakfast, and leave for work. Right? Now, the question is, do you always leave your wet towel on the bathroom floor and your pajamas in that corner and something else somewhere
No,
else?
I hang the towel out in the line.
Do you really?
Certainly.
Have you always done that?
Yes, always.
Go on. And the bathroom's always tidy after you've left it?
Oh, not too tidy.
But the towel's always outside?
Towel's always outside, yes.
Go on. Well, every one of us, unless perfect, Mr. Harrison, has some little habit or mannerism liable to prove irritating to other people. Now, Mr. Harrison, what would you say is the little habit of yours that irritates your wife the most? Have you got that many of them, or you can't think of a single one?
No, I haven't got that many of them.
Well, come on now. You must have some little habit that annoys your wife.
Oh,
Or perhaps it's a habit of
but
hers.
there's no towels there, and she's got to go and get them for me.
Oh, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
The towel's not there.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's a habit of hers. What habit have
Well-
you got that annoys her? What do you do?
Why not bringing them out there?
Yeah. All right. Well, you eat a lot of chocolates, do you?
Oh, yes, eat a few of them.
Yeah, your wife's chocolates?
Wife, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, there's one thing. All right, Mr. Harrison, we'll have the good lady in now and see what she's got to say about it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming up. Well, now, here is Mrs. Harrison, and we'll hear the other side of the story. Mrs. Harrison, when you want to go to sleep, does your husband ever embark on a long conversation?
No, it keeps me awake a lot, though.
Yes.
Awfully restless.
Oh, okay. Very restless. But he doesn't talk a lot.
No,
Just tosses and turns.
snores. And...
Oh, he snores. Yes. Has his snore deepened at all in the 29 years that you've been married?
I think so. He wasn't bad like that when I first married him.
No. No, I meant the tone of the snore.
Oh.
Is it still the same?
Yes, I think so.
Just the same, eh? Never varies. Now, I know both used to snore a tune. That's why I asked that. Now, if your husband purchases anything for you in the way of food, something for the house, you might say to him, oh, Dad, get some, get anything, the way of food stuff from town today. When he comes home, does he insist that he be repaid out of the housekeeping money, or does he usually sort of shout it?
Oh, no, he never shouts at it. He says I don't owe him anything.
Does he? Is your husband of the opinion that a man changes in his habits after he marries? Or perhaps we'll put it this way, are you of the opinion that a man changes in his habits after he marries?
Oh, I think they do.
In what way, Mrs. Harrison? Now, you've been married 29 years, and I'm sure the younger members of our audience will be very interested in your views on that subject.
Oh, well, mine thinks that he doesn't want to go out unless it's card parties and things like that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't take you to the pictures or anything like that.
Would he? Is he just as attentive to you as well?
Oh, yes.
Yes. He just doesn't want to go out?
No, he doesn't want to go out.
And supposing your husband's just had a bath, Mrs. Harrison, has rubbed himself dry and is ready to rush into the bedroom, get dressed and have breakfast, leave for work. Does he always leave his wet towel on the bathroom floor?
Oh, no, I think I've got him trained pretty good.
What does he do?
He generally puts his things away.
Does he? And he puts the towel out in the back line to dry?
Yes, or over the rack.
Or over the rack? Oh, you've got him pretty well trained then. It's taken a long while, that's sure. Does he ever bring you breakfast or morning tea in bed?
Oh, no, I don't think I'd get up in the mornings if I had got a cup of tea in bed. The shock would kill me.
Yeah. Well, now, what do you think, Mrs. Harrison, what do you think is the little habit that annoys your husband the most?
What I do? Eating chocolates often.
Eating chocolates? Doesn't he like that?
No, he likes to eat them all himself.
And what habit of his annoys you the most?
Well, I got to tell.
Yes, you've got to tell, yes. You must tell the truth.
Gets wind a lot and then hear it. He gets wind a lot.
Oh, excuse the pig, he must have his grunt. I know what you mean. Harrison, thanks very much for coming along. Husband number 2. Thank you, sir. Your husband number 2. What is your name?
Craig.
Mr. Craig.
Craig, C-R-A-I-G.
Mr. Craig from?
Northcote.
Northcote. How long have you been married, Mr. Craig?
Oh, about 18 years.
About 18 years. Any children?
2.
Boys or girls?
Boy and a girl.
Ah, pigeon pair, eh? Mr. Craig, tell us how you happened to meet your wife.
Well, as a matter of fact, I met her at a party not very long after I come here. I've been in this country, I suppose, about 21 years nearly. And about a week, fortnight after I arrived here, I went to a party in Brunswick and I met her there.
Did you? Asked her, saw her home and all that sort of thing?
Well, naturally.
Yes, naturally. You Scots work pretty fast, don't you?
Well, when we like, we can.
Oh, Mr. Craig. Mr. Craig, I think we'll have to put a time limit on you for this one. A time limit of, let's say, 5 seconds. What is the color of your wife's eyes?
Brown.
Brown. Right, we'll check up on that. Mr. Craig, do you still kiss your wife goodbye in the morning?
Oh, yeah.
Do you just go through a single peck on the cheek routine, or? Oh. Well, this is rather important, you know.
Not quite, perhaps, but not, I don't make it too long because I'm usually in a hurry in the morning.
Usually in a hurry in the morning.
Yeah.
Not as long as when you were first married.
Oh, well, no, not in the morning, no.
No. Well, Mr. Craig, do you think children should be made to learn a musical instrument even if they're not very keen on it?
Oh, I don't think so.
If they're not keen on it, you don't think it's better for them? You know it's the right thing and sort of push them into it?
No, I don't think it's right to push them into learning music.
No. Not even the bagpipes?
No, definitely not. I've had experience of bagpipe learning.
Have you?
The playing of the bagpipes is all right, but the learning is a bit different.
The listening is worse, Mr. Craig. Mr. Craig, when you're wanting a bath and your wife is in the bathroom, do you rattle on the bathroom door and mumble ominously when you find it locked?
Well, truthfully, I do. Sometimes it takes quite a while.
Yes, get a bit annoyed about it.
Yes, a little.
You sort of knock on the door and say, hurry up there.
That's right.
And what little habit... Yes, open the door, Richard. That's quite right. What little habit of your wife's do you find the most irritating?
Oh, possibly that she is rather inclined to leave things a little late if she's going out or anything like that. She's always in a mad rush at the funny sort of style.
No, they're all like that. Have you any habit that annoys your wife, Mr. Craig?
Oh, I don't think so. Unless it's maybe, when you miss the ashtray sometimes.
You must... Oh, yes. Good for the carpet.
Well,
yes,
it's good for the carpet, but she doesn't think so.
Doesn't she?
No.
And Mr. Craig, you're very happy, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
I'll bet you are, too. So a big hand for Mr. Craig, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. How do you do, Mrs. Craig? We've heard lots about you from your husband. He said some things that I don't really believe. Mrs. Craig, how did you meet your husband?
At a mutual friend's place, a Scotch party.
Oh, a Scotch party, eh? Everybody brought their own.
That's off style.
Yeah. All right. Can I have it with your eyes, Mrs. Craig? I don't think they're that colour. Let me have another good look. I can't tell. See, she's winking there.
What colour did he say they were?
Brown. Are they brown? I think they're a trifle green, as a matter of fact. By golly, they're not brown, I'll swear. No, they're not brown. They're green, as a matter of fact. Fancy a Scotsman not knowing the colour of his wife's eyes. Well, there you are. Mrs. Craig, does your husband still kiss you goodbye of a morning?
Sometimes.
Sometime. Not every time?
No, not every time.
Goodness. Something for nothing and a Scotchman lets it go by. Well, when he does kiss you goodbye of a morning, Mrs. Craig, does he go through a single peck on the cheek routine or does he give you a real good Scotch kiss?
Oh, well, what would you expect from a Scotchman?
Well, I don't know, I'm sure, Mrs. Craig. I'm asking you. What is it? Is it a single peck on the cheek? Come on, tell us. I think so. Mrs. Craig, do you think that children's instrument, even if they're not very keen on it?
Try to learn that instrument, I do.
Once they decide, once they start, they should keep on.
Don't let them keep on.
When your husband is wanting a bath and you're in the bathroom, does he rattle on the bathroom door and mumble but when he finds it locked?
Well, we lost the key of the bathroom door. What do you do about that?
Well, when he finds it closed. Tell us the truth now.
I don't know that he ever wants a bath while I'm having one.
No, I meant after you've had one. Evidently. All right, Mrs. Craig. Mrs. Craig, what is the little habit your husband possesses that irritates you the most?
Oh, he maybe has so many I wouldn't know which one.
Oh, pick out a couple of the worst ones.
I don't think there's any.
No habit? He doesn't annoy you at any time?
Not much.
Ah. Do you annoy him with any habits?
Oh, perhaps.
Ah, well, let's have one of them. Just one. One of those little things. Not serious, of course. Can't you think of one? Come on, tell us.
I don't know that I can think of none.
Well, what do you know? That's the first time we've had a couple of no bad habits. You know that? That's remarkable.
I never said we had no bad habits.
Oh, you can't think of them?
I can't think of them.
Oh, well, never mind. You're very happy, aren't you, Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Thanks very much for coming along. You're very happy, Mrs. Craig. Our third couple in raising a husband. Here's the husband, and it's Mr.
Burkett.
Mr. Burkett from
Coburg.
From Coburg. Mr. Burkett, how long have you been married?
14 years.
14 long, weary years. Any children?
2.
Boys or girls?
2 girls.
Right. Mr. Burkett, who looks after your coupon book?
The missus.
Do you know how many clothing coupons you have left?
You want to ask my wife?
I will later on, but I want to find out if you know.
No.
No idea.
Faintest idea.
You never get a look at it?
No.
Might get
Well,
a
I
new tie
do,
once a year.
Mrs. might say, go down and buy yourself a shirt.
Might. Yeah. All right, you've got no idea how many clothing coupons there. I think there are quite a few, though, probably.
I think so.
What is your opinion of a husband who cleans his wife's shoes?
Well, I do it myself sometimes when I'm home for Sunday.
Sometimes.
I do the children's too, my own.
Do you, Mr. Baggett?
Yeah.
Get busy and do the whole family shoes?
Yeah, I have done it several times.
Have you, really? Does your wife ever clean yours for you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you share and share alike, eh?
Especially when we're going out and she's in a hurry.
And, Mr. Burkett, if your wife was sick, would you be able to do the cooking?
Yes, I would. I have done it while the wife's been ill.
Everybody was satisfied?
Well, she's still alive.
Marvellous what we can live on at times, Mr.
Okay,
Burkett.
it is.
And if your wife is having guests to dinner, do you choose that evening for a bit of a celebration after work before you arrive home?
No.
Never.
No.
You're always very considerate that way.
Yes.
And what harmless little habit does your wife possess that irritates you the most, Mr. Burkett?
Got a couple.
Well, tell us about them.
I wonder if it's safe, though.
What do you mean?
Oh, well.
You're frightened of your wife?
No.
No.
But, smoking of a morning before a meal.
Smoking of a morning before a meal?
Yeah. That annoys me the most.
Oh, your wife smokes before?
Yeah.
Does she, before breakfast?
Yes. That's
What-
when I'm not around, she does, but if I'm around, she's pretty careful.
Do you smoke?
Yes.
You really keep your eyes on her, don't you? What else, Mr. Burkett?
Oh, well, when I go to bed, I like to get to sleep.
Yes, well, naturally, yes, we go to bed to go to sleep, yes.
She likes to pass the day's happenings, so forth. And
Oh, yes.
I listen for a while, then I get a nudge in the rib. You awake? Yes, I'm awake. Oh, good night, love, and go to sleep. Of course, that's if she doesn't feel inclined to talk more.
Yeah. In other words, when you go to bed at night, she wants to talk, and you want to go to sleep.
It's not too bad, but that is another habit.
Yeah, it's
You got
bad
it.
enough, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll say
Right,
it.
thanks very much, Mr. Burkett, for coming along. Thank you, Mrs. Burkett. Mrs. Burkett, who looks after your husband's coupon book?
I do.
How many coupons has he left? Clothing coupons?
Oh, I couldn't say offhand.
No idea.
No, a fair amount.
Fair amount. You don't pinch them on him, do you?
Oh, well, if I needed them, I'd use them.
That's right.
Too right.
What is your husband's opinion of husbands who clean their wives' shoes?
Oh, he does it pretty often.
Cleans your shoes, doesn't he? And the kiddies?
Yes. Oh, not so much the kiddies. They clean their own.
He cleans yours?
Yes.
You ever clean his for him?
Oh, I did years ago, but I've got over that now.
Yes. Thought it was too good to last. If you were sick, Mrs. Burkett, do you think your husband would be able to cook for the family?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Pretty
He
good
has.
cook, is he? Does he like your cooking?
Oh, he's never complained about it.
Perhaps he's frightened, do you think?
Oh, he might be. He's had all his teeth out, but I don't think that's a result of my cooking. I mean, he can still eat it without teeth, so...
Yes, I suppose there's something in that, too. So we inquire into that. And if you're having guests to dinner, Mrs. Burkett, does your husband choose that evening for a bit of a celebration after work before he arrives home?
No.
Very considerate.
Oh, very considerate that
He's a
way.
pretty good husband.
Not
What
bad.
little habit of your husband's irritates you the most, Mrs. Burkett?
Oh, putting the cat before the children.
Putting the cat?
Yes. For instance, the other day he's got a lot of lettuce planted and different vegetables in the yard, and the cat's scratching them up, and he just says, "Come on, Mickey, off there." Yet he'd give the children a hiding for doing the same thing.
He's a bit keen on the cat.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, what do you know about that? Oh, well, I mean to say, after all, kiddies grow up and leave you, but cats stay forever.
Oh, that's true.
Bring their families home.
not ours. It's a tomcat.
And what about you, Mrs. Burkett? Have you any habits that annoy your husband?
Oh, lots.
Just one of them.
Smoking before breakfast?
Yes, and talking when you go to bed, but you're very happy, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
My word, big hand for Mr. and Mrs. Burkett. Well, the time is flying by. We still have a couple to go. And here is the next husband. This must be Mr. Fitzgerald. That's right. Mr. Fitzgerald from what suburb?
Canterbury.
Canterbury. How long have you been married, Mr. Fitzgerald?
4 years.
Any children?
One daughter.
One daughter, eh? Mr. Fitzgerald, where did you propose to your wife? Now, you've only been married 4 years, so you probably remember it very, very well.
And over in the Alexander Gardens.
Oh! In the Alexander Gardens?
That's right.
What time?
Oh, I don't know what time it was.
Night time?
Oh, no, I think it was on Sunday afternoon.
Where is your idea of romance? At daytime? Oh, you should have picked a nice, quiet, dark spot at night time. Never mind, Mr. Fitzgerald. That's the way you proposed, and that's the end of it. But it was in the Fitzroy Gardens.
And Alexander.
Alexander Gardens, yes. Mr. Fitzgerald, if your wife asks you to do up a few buttons for her at the back of her dress, do you mind? No, of course you don't. You've only been married 4 years. That's a silly question. Are you ever guilty of putting your dirty shoes up on the lounge or other furniture to your wife's annoyance?
No.
Never do that?
Never do that.
Always make sure that your feet are clean before you walk in the house.
Yes,
What is your opinion of women car drivers?
Oh, some of them are all right, but I think they're as good as the men.
Do you?
Yeah.
You drive yourself?
No.
No, obviously not.
I see quite a lot.
When you arrive home at night, Mr. Fitzgerald, what is the first thing you do? Peck your wife on the cheek?
That's right, yes.
Give her a good kiss?
Yes.
Or do you say, hello? Or do you just grunt?
Oh, I have to give her a kiss, first thing.
Which kiss?
On the lips.
On the lips? That's the way, my goodness. See if you can keep it up for 29 years. You get a medal and a pension for life if you do. What little habit of your wife's do you find the most annoying?
Oh, when I go shopping with her and she wants a hat or material or something, she has a look at about a dozen and then she says, oh, no, I don't like any of those. And in bed of a night, she often finishes right up there. Just about out the bed with me out too. She says, move over.
Well, it's got nothing to do with buying hats. Oh, I thought the two of them were combined. Oh, I see. The two habits is that when you go out, she looks at a dozen hats and then doesn't buy any.
That's right.
Well, that's a bit of a relief, isn't it, really? And then when you get to bed of a night, you finish up out of bed, practically.
Yeah, just about.
Not enough room,
She says, move over, then.
Move over, yes, that's right. But you're very happy.
Oh, very happy.
Good. Well, we'll have Mrs. Fitzgerald in now. Thanks very much for coming along. Mrs. Fitzgerald, will you tell us something?
Mm-hmm.
Where did your husband propose to you?
I can't remember.
Oh, now come on, that's not true. Where did he propose to you? Do you want me to tell you?
No, I can tell you.
Well, where was it?
In the Alexander Garden.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that was it. Nighttime, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, what a fibber. Never mind. Mrs. Fitzgerald, if you ask your husband to do up a few buttons for you at the back of your dress, does he mind?
Oh, no, he usually says, wait till I'm finished doing mine up.
Oh, he wants to be in it, does he? My word. Is your husband ever guilty of putting his dirty shoes up on the lounge or other furniture to your annoyance?
Oh, no, he makes me take my feet off.
Oh, I see, the other way around, is it? What is your opinion of women car drivers, Mrs. Fitzgerald? Do you think they're good?
Oh, yes. I
Oh, do
think
you?
some of them are.
Some of them are.
I think they're more careful than men drivers.
Yes, do you?
Yes.
Yes, they're particularly careful, aren't they?
Oh, usually.
Yes, of themselves. Now, when your husband arrives home at night, Mrs. Fitzgerald, when your husband arrives home at night, what is the first thing he does? Wait till I finish this now. Peck you on the cheek? Give you a real good kiss? Or does he just say hello? Or does he just grunt?
Oh, he usually gives me a kiss.
Good one.
Oh, yes.
That's his training in the Alexandria Gardens. And what little habit of your husband's do you find the most annoying, Mrs. Fitzgerald? Yes, his habit, yes.
Oh.
He must have one or two, I think.
Well, he always leaves his wet towel up on the bed.
Leaves his wet towel on the bed?
Towel.
Yes, what's he doing on...
Well, see, he goes to the bathroom and has his bath, and then he goes up into the bedroom and finishes drying his neck or his face or something, but he just leaves the towel on the bed.
On the bed?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that drive you mad?
Oh, I'll try that.
Anything else?
Oh, and when we go shopping, if I go to buy anything,
yes, if you
and
have
he comes, if he comes with me, he always apologises to the assistant if I don't take it.
He apologises while you're there?
Yes.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, when you've been married 24 years, he'll apologise after you've gone. That's worse. But you're very happy, aren't you?
Yes.
Thanks for coming along, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Now, just a very brief flash of music while the judge lets us know which is the most human husband of the evening. And the judge has decided in favor of competitors number 2. Which couple were number 2 on our list? Oh, our Scotch pair. Yes, thank you. Come forward, Mr. and Mrs. Craig. You'll remember them in our program. They were our decidedly Scotch couple. Come right up on stage, Mr. and Mrs. Craig. Mr. Craig, you're the most... I was going to say the most perfect husband. That's not it. The most human husband of the evening. And although you are the winner, your wife gets the prize.
That's usually the way.
Yes, that is usually the way. Quite right, Mr. Craig, but you've got to carry them home. The 3 pieces, Tommy? 2 pieces, thank you. Comprise 2 pieces of pottery. One is they're both, one's a flower. They're both flower bowls, aren't they? Yes, they look like it. One's in the form of a basket, the other one's a jardinier type. They're English vases, and I'm sure you'll find a good place for them in your home. Okay, just a little memento of your visit to our program of Raising a Husband. Thanks very much for coming along. And each other couple appearing in the program gets one of these handsome rose bowls. Thanks very much, Tommy. And so concludes Raising a Husband. If you've enjoyed the show, and I think you all have, make a point of tuning in again next week at the same time, same station. Remember the program, it's Raising a Husband.
Domestic bliss. In the 1950s, domestic bliss. This is the way it all should have been. Husbands and wives agreeing on everything and being in understanding the finer points of matrimony and being overall being very human indeed. So I wonder how people would fare up today, being asked the same questions. Isn't it amazing? That's a snapshot of Middle Australia from the I think it's just after the war. Now that's episode 41. Now I think that's the only episode around. I've heard nothing else about other episodes existing of that program. There may be, but it would be interesting to follow it a bit further, and I'd love to know what happened to those families and what the bigger story was. No doubt I think all of them had kids, so they would be. Let's see. if they would have been in their 30s then, in the 1940s, so yes, they would be probably all born around about 1910 or that time, or a bit earlier even. So there we have it, episode of Raising a Husband, and there should be more of it. Okay, now we haven't ever had a pianola roll for a while, so I think we might break the ice and just use this as a bit of a catalyst. So I think it's called Scatterbrain. It sort of sums up the way I feel at the moment, so I'll switch on the other mic and we'll have something that's pretty kitsch. 2 is a 4-hand arrangement, so that's what I like about these piano rolls. They have incredible kitsch value. So let's see. I'll put up this, open up mic 2, which is the SM7, 57, SM57, and I'll switch off my SM58, and I'll dance over to the piano, jump over the chair, and we'll have a bit of a pedal fest. This is VK3SL. Testing, of course. Whoa. Whoa! Oh, hell spells, that was a workout and a half. And climbing over the furniture to get back because the chair blocks the way. That wasn't Scatterbrain, it was actually High-Low March. And a 4-hand arrangement, something very Edwardian and extremely kitschy. Over to the other mic. Well, again, another workout at the pianola. And yeah, we'll have to get some more pianola rolls from the source. There's a source of rolls stacked away at another location, which I'll need to start sifting through and bring them across. Well, that's sort of given me another lease of life, I suppose. Now, how now, brown cow? We will have a look and see what's next. Yeah, I was going to move into the classical zone, but while I get myself organised for that, I might just have something a bit sort of quiet and reflective, and another 78. I think I've got a fat swatter on the turntable, so let's give this a go. So turntable 2. Oh, here's the feedback. I can hear it. I might have to be careful here. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all right, and we'll see what happens. Come on, ident. It's slow. Why doesn't this go? There we have it. This is VK3SL. Testing on 160 metres, 2 metres, and the Broadwave streaming service.
Little curly hair in a high chair. What's your order for today? Little curly hair in a high chair. I'll do anything you say. When you're near, the room seems to brighten. The sun comes streaming through your eyes. You're the reason why they keep writing all those tender lullabies. There you go, banging with your boots, pulling off your socks. There you go, trying to make your toes touch your baby nose. Heaven's close to your chair and my chair. When you smile the way you do, little curly hair in a high chair, my day begins and ends with you.
Okay, folks, that was a very beautiful performance of Little Curly Hair. Oh, there we go. A little curly head. What is it? Little curly hair in a high chair. Yeah, it didn't sort of sound right when I said it, but yes, that's what it was. Unfortunately, that's got a bit of RF in it. So excuse the noise there, but that's the way it is. Everything is done on the fly. Right, yeah, including the next arrangement. I am in time going to seek another laptop. And I've been asking around some of my workplaces for an old bombed out one, which I can buy cheaply, or maybe I'll just go to a Hamfest and get one. And just for the turntables, because having to use the same computer for YouTube and other sources makes things a little bit convoluted, and it's not so easy. Anyhow, I think I've got it right now. We're right to go, and now a classical offering for. I'd like to. For some time, I've been wanting to feature some early music, and a recording that sort of resonates with me is Monteverdi's Magnificat, or it's actually a distillation of his 1610 Vespers. And I think I've told the story how my grandfather used to lend me records, and one of them was this very record I'm holding now, actually. And it's got all the dates that he played it. He played it dozens and dozens of times, and he lent it to me a couple of times, and I remember listening to this, and it really it had a kind of strong effect on me, because I remember the sound of early music I hadn't heard before, so it was sort of my initiation, I suppose. And it's remarkable music. I mean, Monteverdi sort of wrote this as his basically job application for St. Mark's in Venice, and it's music of profound proportion. He's he's exploring the figured bass in a way that hadn't been done before. He emancipates the bass line, actually, really. And he was a groundbreaker. He was a very important figure in the development of early Baroque music, and the way the levels of sophistication were hitherto unknown before Monteverdi came on the scene. He was a major player. He lived from 1567 to 1643. Now, this is getting on a bit in time, so I don't know if we'll be able to hear the whole thing, but I'll play some of it, and we'll listen to some of the Magnificat. Now, there's two versions of this. There's one with just 6 voices, and then there's the 7-voice version with instruments as well. So we'll hear the early instruments, which include violins or strings, and gambas and cornetos, and I think the early forms of the trombone as well, which were sackbuts, I think. Yes. Anyhow, we'll have a listen, and this is the very recording that sort of did it for me, I suppose. So we'll give it a burl. So just bear with me while I queue up, and we'll have a little bit of Monteverdi. Actually, the record's already started, so I'm going to fade in and see if we can go from this point to the end. Otherwise, we'll just go all night. But it is very beautiful music, and it'll and very different to the type of music that I usually play for these test transmissions. So yeah, sit back and enjoy it. VK3SL. Well, folks, this is not going to be a good situation, I'm afraid. We seem to have a major problem with RF getting in to this turntable, which has never happened before. I might try and alter the volume settings a little bit more, see if we can improve on things, but it's not ideal. And it's a shame, because I've never had that with the SB10 before, but these, there's so many vagaries in the setup here, and things just happen, and I haven't got time to test them all, so looks like we're in a funny place at the moment. I'll try again, but otherwise I can just look up something on YouTube, because I would like to play it. So we'll give it another go. Have a listen. Okay, look, I'm sorry, folks. This is not really what I expected to happen. I will do a spontaneous look up on YouTube and see if I can find this, because I really would like to hear it. So we'll just do a Monteverdi Magnificat. This one here, the version that I grew up with, but that doesn't matter. I'll have to look into this problem. I've got ferrites on everything, and maybe it's because I've tuned up the band a little bit and things aren't quite in resonance, and it makes RF problems more pronounced. It could be the problem, because I had to do that without having to test first, so that might be what's happening. Okay, look, Monteverdi Magnificat for 7 voices, 7 voci. Here we go, and there probably is versions of it here. Here we go. Here is something. It's probably not the version that we heard before, but that doesn't matter. I wonder if I could find that version. Maybe it is there. Interesting thought. All right, look, now I'll go with this one, I think. So we'll have a listen to it from the source and see if it makes any difference. VK3SL.
Hardly.
Oh, of course.
Well, you've only got to look at her.
Oh dear, that's not doing too well here. That's what happens when you do things on the fly. All right, that's not going to work because that's got advertisements and it seems to be something else going on there. Got the 6-voice version, 12 minutes. Okay, we only have the basso continuo though. I love the one with the trumpets. Yeah, we got the 6-voice version, but not the 7-voice version, which is the one with the. I rented the top floor too. I wonder if it's going to happen. Can you imagine making a mistake like that after all these years? Oh, I know what's happening. It's not advertisement. It's some other material on YouTube, which is. Yes. Okay. We might have some success, folks. If I can just quickly find it. Sorry about all this. This is all very unexpected. But I suppose it's good practice on ad-libbing, but I'm a pretty boring ad-libber. Here we have it. Magnificat for 7 voices by Claudio Monteverdi. Hopefully without interference. We'll listen to this now. VK3SL. Yes, we just... hello? That might be a part of the problem. I've got... just stand by for a second, please. Okay, that might be better. Interesting. Now, I think it was a... I was hearing quite a bit of distortion there, but I'm not hearing it now as I speak, and I think it may have... It's either a line problem with the feed from the computer, or that was a bit of a less than ideal source. That may be a fairly poorly recorded example. So anyhow, I hope it didn't affect your experience. I thoroughly enjoyed the piece. It's brought back so many memories hearing that. I mean, it's masterful writing with its its antiphonal effects between the two choirs and the canon entries, the caconial entries there, which are very sort of Baroque. So you can sort of see the burgeoning Baroque style emerging through Monteverdi's work, and lots of spectacular melismas. Beautiful music. I'll have to listen in full stereo and indulge in that again, and hopefully I can sort out that problem with the turntable so I can do it through the sources I prefer. Now, it's getting quite late. I had all these other things lined up for tonight, and I think the OTR segment, the marriage guidance, took up a fair bit of time. But look, what we might do is try and we might just make this a 10-minute segment. Now, what I was hoping to do was feature a little segment on the history of the Hans Martineau, and with the inventor of the machine himself. I found this remarkable footage on Pathé off YouTube, but it's from the Pathé archive, and it has a little bit of a chat with the guy who invented the machine himself, and he describes it, and he gives some examples, and we'll see what you think of this. So I'll put this on. It's about 2 minutes, and I'll just play a little bit of Messiaen for about another 5 minutes after that, and we'll try and finish at 1:30 tonight, and I will listen back. But yes, so we've sort of run a little bit ahead of time tonight. This is VK3SL test transmission, and we'll have a listen to Mr. Martineau.
You see, it's a real musical instrument without string or wind. The sound is produced electrically by means of radio valve, but it's not mechanical.
I notice you play with one finger only.
That's right, because it's the easiest way. You see, it's not necessary to touch the keyboard. But if you like, you can play on the keys.
Will you play some effects?
Yes, certainly. Here is a trumpet and echo. And bird, if you will. And guitar.
Okay, we just heard Professor Maurice Martineau with his new electrical creation. Yes, he is. That's from a Pathé newsreel. And very interesting, it's like a tape that runs about an inch above the keys. It is manipulating the tape vertically in order to produce that vibrato, and of course horizontally to change the pitch. So it seems to be in line with the with the keyboard. Now, when he opened the set up, it was full of 1920s valves. I suppose it's 1934 that was made, but it looked like a TRF set from the 20s. It was quite an interesting thing to see. So, yeah, that was Maurice Martineau. All right, we'll finish tonight with something it's actually very beautiful. We'll just listen to the last section of this, and I'd love to play it all another time. It's a work for 6 on Martineaus from 1937 by Messiaen, and it's Faire des Belles. Now, I'm not very good at pronouncing French, so I probably didn't do a very good job at that. But look, have a listen, and I can put up a link. So we'll let this one ride out tonight, and I'll listen back, and we'll save the other things on the playlist for another time. But I think what's happening is RF's getting into the line from the computer, getting into the putes. So I think I need to get another handful of toroids. But I think the problem is mainly that I'm tuned quite a bit up the band, and that's a fair, because the antenna's resident on 1825. And I'm up about 1870, so it's probably putting a bit of strain on the. Well, I don't know. We'll investigate. That's what I'm assuming at the moment. Anyhow, so a little bit of retuning may be in order, but if I'm going to stay up this high. All right, this is VK3SL, and we'll ride out with this Faire des Belles for 6 on Martineaus. And this is a work by Messiaen, and from 1937, and we'll just listen to the last 5 minutes of it or so, and then I'll have a call back afterwards. So thank you for your indulgence. Thanks for listening through, those who've listened through, and we'll catch up next time. VK3SL.